welcome to the FSW Coaches Show, Week 3 edition. I am Sports Information Director Roy Allen, joined today by FSW Head Volleyball Coach Thais Baziquetto-Allen. Coach, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Doing good, Coach. Last season your team competed in its first season, went 16-8, made it to the state tournament, and won a couple games there, finished fourth under extraordinary circumstances there. How would you say you thought year one went for your team, and kind of how they performed compared to your expectations?
I think it went well. I wish we had won more games. I think we were very inconsistent. We had different lineups that we tried. We had some positions that were inconsistent, and it took us a while to try to figure out what worked for us. We had too many freshmen that had a lot of firsts and understanding what it took to win at Florida and what NJCAA is all about. So I think we did okay on the court. I think off the court we did well with having a lot of international students. We were able to rack up a GPA of 3.52, and I think it's important just as well as being successful outside the court than inside the court. So I was very proud of them for that.
Coach, you took over the program last season from scratch, nothing in there from beforehand to influence the culture that you wanted to set going forward. Kind of what is your vision of what the FSW culture is going to be in the volleyball program going forward?
We want to establish a culture that it's hardworking, high work ethics, understand that FSW is a winning place, and they need to just understand what it takes to win. And I think that's the culture that we want to try to set. And that happens with, being on time, having good work ethics, understanding that you're representing more than yourself. You're representing your teammates, volleyball, and FSW every time, everywhere you go. So just that culture of just working hard and understanding that it's bigger than yourself.
What were the challenges a season ago, not having sophomores that had been in your program to be able to relay that on to the freshmen, and you almost having to start over day by day and establishing that culture with your players? Talk about maybe how the difference this year should be with sophomores in the program that understand that stuff.
Yeah, I think last year there's a lot of firsts. Everything is a first, first game and first, issues that they have first in the locker room. So then a lot of the culture has to be set from the top down, as not just saying but showing them every day, I'm here earlier, you need to be earlier, and this is how it looks. And we tell them things, but until they live that, it became more of a reality than us just telling them, hey, season is short, we're going to play 3 games, and they don't understand that until they're in season and they are playing 3 games and they're having to rest and take care of themselves. And now it's more of that, so then we're telling them and they reiterating. So it's just more of a, you have the coach player, but you also have the player, and I think our sophomores are doing a really good job so far at kind of putting them under and then telling them, here's how we do things.
Coach, 12 international players on your roster this season from 6 different countries all around the world. Obviously a different situation this year, recruiting, getting players here in the middle of a pandemic. So talk a little bit about maybe some challenges you had there with getting your players here, and obviously still trying to get some players here at this point in time. Hopefully by the spring you'll have the entire roster here.
Yeah, in the middle of the pandemic is just the travel is the biggest issue. Everybody's trying to contain the pandemic, so just leaving the country and entering the United States was a big issue. The embassies, the United States Embassy closed all over the world for at least a month and a half. So for the newcomers, it was really hard because, if they had appointments set and everything like that, everything got canceled. And for the people who traveled, the travel bans everywhere over the world where they couldn't leave and they couldn't stay, and classes about to start, and we're sitting there and just kind of waiting to hear how things go. So I think that was just the travel itself, the logistic, which I understand you're trying to contain a pandemic, and traveling, it's one of the reasons why it spread so fast. That was the easiest thing to cut, and I understand it was just bigger than us, but now things are getting better. We were Europe open earlier than everywhere else, and they made an exception for international students, which helped us. Brazil is one of the ones that were still closed, and I think they will open up here pretty soon. And we have 2 players that are still there that will be newcomers that we're hoping to bring in the spring.
Good. Kind of along that topic, question from one of our social media viewers. So surprise question for you here. With so many international players, obviously you can't travel around the world and watch them play high school or club like you maybe would be able to the American players. So what does it look like recruiting players at the international level, which is obviously very prevalent at the NJCA level?
Yes, you have to be really good at watching video. That's how you do. That's how you analyze them, getting their highlight film, and that's you always want your highlight film so that you can see what you can do. But at the same time, you can make anybody really look good in a highlight video. So we try to get some full film so we can see the overall of the player, not just what she does when she's at her best. We have network. We know a lot of people outside, so just kind of trusting them and talking to them. They know us, they know me, they know what I expect from my players on and off the court, so they understand what kind of player we're looking for. So then it's just kind of a mixture of both that we're able to bring players from all over without seeing them in person.
Coach, volleyball, obviously the sport at the NJCA level most affected by the pushback to spring starts for all of the sports. Your season gets completely moved back. Basketball a couple months, but not too much there. Your season gets completely flipped around from the fall to all the way in the spring. Talk about maybe some of the benefits, some of the challenges about that change happening for your team.
Yeah, this is the first time in 16 years that I don't have a fall season, that we're in preseason and go mode. It's just different, like you said. It's just we're having this time, which I like, because we usually have 20 days before we play our first match. So you really not compromise, but you have to pick and choose what you're training. You have to evaluate your team after a couple practices and look at your strengths and weaknesses, and from there just kind of build a practice plan knowing that you're playing in 20 days. So really kind of starting it out, what you're going to do with your training. Now we have so much more time, and that kind of not freaked me out a little bit, but made me step back and think, and just knowing that we have this much time, so set up a bigger plan, a bigger prioritization where what we're doing and how we're going to do it on every aspect, because we get to work in pretty much all the aspects we need to work before we get into competition mode. So it's been nice that way, and they have a little bit more team time before we get into competition, which has been nice as well.
That's good. Your 60-day practice window for official practice opens up this week for your team. You've been able to work with your team about 8 hours per week up until this point. Who've been some players, maybe newcomers or even returners, that would be familiar names for our fans that have stood out so far?
For returners, we have Julie Desap. She was a big part of our success in the state tournament last year, and she came back and she's doing really well. Kiki has matured really. Kiani Cummins has matured really well on the spring, and coming back on the fall, she picked up just where she left off. So we're excited. She's going to have a new role this year, which we're excited to see that. He also just got stronger. If you remember watching her last year, you definitely knew when she swung the ball, and I think she just got stronger as the spring came by and on the weight room. So we're excited to see some new things from her as well. Out of the newcomers, Fiona has done a really good job as a setter. We have a lot of expectations from her, just kind of commend the team being the quarterback. So there's a lot of high expectations, a position that you have to be good and you have to be smart and you have to be consistent. And she has picked up the training really well. Like, she's the kind of kid that you talk to her and then she thinks about it and she really asks questions and see the impact, and then puts on a court and then evaluates her actions. And so it's been really fun to watch her. Maria Petkova, it's been really good. Her ball control is going to be a big difference for us this year, and she's also a really good arm swinging on the front row, so we're going to like her as well. So I think those are kind of the people that has stood out for us.
We'll ask that question again next month. Maybe have some different answers after you have a full month of practice under your belt. Most of your players here on campus. So after a successful first season, obviously expectations will be different this season for you going into this year. Last year, 13 freshmen, a couple of transfer sophomores. This year, 7 returners, including another transfer sophomore. So obviously expectations are going to be a little bit different. What are those expectations going forward and this season in particular for your team?
As a team, I expect us to be a little bit more consistent. I think that was something where last year, if you look at some of our games, we had in a 25 set, we would look really good and we would look really bad and we would look really good. And it took us a while to just be consistent and play in a higher level. And I think that's an expectation we'll have, to be able to battle a little bit better on a higher level games. Because I feel last year we won the games, and there were maybe 3 or 4 games that we play at a high level that we battle and we were able to consistently play. I think this year those games need to be better. We need to play at a higher level and, take to a 5th set, win a 5th set, and then just kind of go from there. So that's kind of the expectation we have. That will be a little different than last year, where we had some games that we lost 3-0 and we didn't battle at all. It just looked like we weren't a team together, and I don't expect to have any of those this year.
Well, that's a good thing from a coach. Don't expect to have any of those.
Yeah. Well,
now it's time to have a little fun. Coach B is a little serious on the sideline during games. You've been to Suncoast Credit Union Arena and watched her coach. So we're going to loosen her up a little bit, have a little fun here with some rapid fire questions. Coach, you ready?
Yes.
You nervous?
Yes.
Okay. Let's start with an easy one. Favorite sport to watch besides volleyball?
Handball would be my favorite one to watch.
You're going to have to explain that to our listeners, because I promise they have not seen handball before.
Okay, so handball, it's
not hitting the racquetball against the wall with your glove on.
It's the Olympic sport, handball. It's played on the basketball court, and then they have a little line it's a little past the 3-point line that goes all around, but they play with their hands, and then they pass back and forth with their hands, and then you attack the goal. There's a goalie, there's a defense. It's a very intense game. It's very physical game. Like, you can literally grab someone and throw them on the ground. It's not a foul or anything like that. I only get to watch every 4 years, so maybe that's why I like watching so much, but it's a very fun sport. I played some in high school. I'm from Brazil, so I played some in high school, and I got to watch some, they're the World League and things like that, so it's a fun sport to watch.
Combination of basketball, soccer, and
indoor
hockey.
Soccer, yeah.
You like that? That's
yeah,
comparison?
that's a good
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Dream vacation spot for Coach B?
That's harder. I've been to some of my bucket list spots, but I think the next one would be, New Zealand, Australia. That's a place of the globe that I haven't been yet, and I think I would like to explore a little bit more.
You got to talk to Coach I. Murray. I think 3 Kiwis on our roster this year, so might have somewhere to stay when we go down there. Favorite food for Coach B?
I think sushi. I could eat sushi every day of my life.
Okay, sushi. Moving on from that one, word on the street is you're quite the chef. So what is Coach B's go-to cooking dish?
Oh, I like to cook steak. I think you have to do it right to be perfect. I feel like if you overcook a little bit or you under-season, it just messes up your steak, because you have such a high expectation for eating that nice steak. You gotta be in a mood to eat a steak, and then if you mess it up, I don't like it. So I like cooking steak and just seasoning well and having the right amount of pink on it. So I don't know, just cooking steak.
So quite the grill master is what you're saying.
Yes.
Your husband must be very happy to have that.
Yes.
Last question. This could be the hardest one of all. Okay.
Yes.
You have 2 dogs, Kai and Ace. Which one's your favorite?
I like them the same.
Good answer. Both the same?
Yes.
Qualities of each that you like. Kai first.
I think Kai is just he's like your goofball, don't act your age kind of dog. He's always laughing and
Your dog laughs.
Yes, smile.
Oh.
Okay, wiggles his tail.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. That's what I think it's comparable of laughing. So then he's always just in a good mood. There's no bad time with him. And Ace is more at the lesson, I'm too cool for school. I need you to pat me, and then you don't need to pat me anymore. I'm done, kind of. But he's really good, protective, and he's always there. So they're just a little different.
That's it, folks. Everything you have ever wanted to know about head volleyball coach Thais Baziquetto-Allen off the court. Thanks for playing along, Coach.
Thank you.
That wraps up week 3 of our show, our FSW Coaches Show here at FSWBucs.com and FSW Bucs on social media. We thank everybody for watching this week. Next week we will have head women's basketball coach Gerald Ellis on the show as he talks about his first season as the head coach for the Bucs women's basketball team. Thanks again for watching. Have a great night. Go Bucs.